Good evening. I'm Helene Gale, and I have the honor and privilege to serve as the president of Spelman College. So, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. But this is such an exciting evening, and it is so wonderful to be able to be here with all of you this evening. All of you, our special guests, the members of the Spelman community, all of you who have joined us tonight. We're delighted to welcome you to celebrate the release of the book, Speechifying, The Words and Legacy of Johnnetta Betsch Cole. As everybody knows, Dr. Cole served with distinction as the 7th president of Spelman College, the first Black woman to hold the role at an institution that was founded to serve the educational needs of Black women. She ushered in a new era of sister presidents at Spelman and established a new foundation of excellence for the college that continues to be built on today, and I hope people saw the U.S. News and World Report ranking 17 years in a row. The #1 HBCU 17 years in a row, but as importantly, we made the top 50. We were 51 last year, 39 of all liberal arts colleges. And we tied for second place for social mobility. So all of the things that we really want to be as an institution, you know, people can talk about rankings. We know that they don't say everything, but I think it says a lot that we continue to hold on to excellence and continue to build. So to me personally, this is very, very special. Dr. Cole has been a great friend and a source of encouragement over many years. When I first got to Atlanta in the mid-'80s, right around the time when she was becoming president, it was so wonderful for me to be at the Centers for Disease Control and see this incredible woman over here at Spelman, you know, just being a beacon to all Black women. So it meant so much to me to have her as a friend and somebody who I could always go to for encouragement. And now it is especially, now in this role, I so appreciate having a sister president who came before me who can continue to be a friend, a mentor, as I settle into my own tenure as president here. So thank you to our original sister president. Thank you so much to giving Spelman the honor of hosting you at this event. This is our way of paying tribute to you as an exemplar of what it means to be a thought leader, one who researches meticulously, thinks deeply, speaks courageously, expands knowledge, highlights injustice, and advocate for positive change in our nation and our world. That is who you are. That is the example that you have always brought to us, but more broadly to the world, and particularly to Black women. So Speechifying is the brainchild of Spelman alumna Dr. Celeste Watkins Hayes, class of '96. We are so proud of you and all that you have done. She is now the Sanford Weill Dean of Public Policy at the Gerald Ford School of Public Policy at the University of Michigan. She got other titles too, but I'm gonna stop at that. And her co-author for the project, Dr. Erica Lorraine Williams, professor of anthropology here at Spelman College, and author of Sex Tourism in Bahia, which won the National Women's Studies Association and the University of Illinois Press First Book Prize. So congratulations on that, Dr. Williams. Celeste and Erica's goal in compiling Dr. Cole's most important speeches was to honor her as their mentor. and they have certainly done that. But they have also helped to chronicle an important aspect of our national history, the ongoing fight for racial, gender, and class equality as articulated through Dr. Cole's insightful and powerful oratory. Celeste and Erica, your Spelman family is so proud of you and all of your contributions. Finally, a few special words of appreciation to our faculty and staff, the Institutional Advancement Team, the STS, the Technology Services Team, Nicole Johnson in my office. Thank you all for all you have done to make this incredible, the reception beforehand as well as this event so special. Particular shout out to the Institutional Advancement Team led by Jesse Brooks that have done an incredible job in pulling so many things together that are part of this evening. I recognize Dr. Williams, Holly Smith, who is, I'm going to turn the podium over to, who is our Spelman College archivist, Terry Jones, class of 91, international best-selling author of 4 novels, and co-founder of Dream, the Boldest Dream, an endowed scholarship to honor Dr. Cole, and of course, our own Dr. Beverly Guy Sheftall, class of 66, and our Anna Julia Cooper, Professor of Women's Studies and English at Spelman, who will moderate this discussion. And finally, I also want to recognize Dr. David Satcher, who has joined us here today, my former boss at CDC, former Surgeon General and Assistant Secretary of Health for the United States. So David, who has Spelman daughter, lots of Spelman connection, thank you for being here with us this evening. So I am grateful to each and every one of you for being here. This is a very, very special night. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Holly, who will lead us into the next part of the program. Again, thank you all for all you have done this evening and what you're doing for our future moving forward. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Hello, Sister Archivist. Guess what? I have a dump for you. These are some of the most beautiful words I have ever heard during my time as Spelman College archivist. It might sound ironic to hear those words, since when we think of dump, that tends to correlate to trash or disposal. However, in this case, these wonderful words spoken to me by our own beloved Dr. C signal that she has a shipment of correspondence, photographs, flyers, and various other archival treasures to add to her collections. Spelman is blessed to be the repository for not only Dr. Cole's presidential papers, but her personal papers as well. So for me, this dump contributes to the memory work that Dr. Cole has facilitated throughout her career and overall enriches the diverse and critical stories we document in the archives. In my humble opinion, the Spelman archival collections are unmatched. From the diaries of Sophia Packard and Harriet Giles, letters from students abroad in the 19th century, to the 1976 student lock-in, to the current activism of students such as the Visionaries and other student organizations, we broadly document the history of the college and her diverse constituents. Additionally, we have the papers of iconic women and artists, including cultural worker and feminist Toni Cade Bambara, lesbian feminist activist Audre Lorde, which Dr. Cole facilitated the acquisition of the papers here, artist Selma Burke, and Black feminist foremother Beverly Guy Sheftall. It is very refreshing to not have to justify why documenting people of the African diaspora is important here at Spelman. And the Spelman archives seek to continue that tradition of documenting and preserving the rich and at times complex stories of the college and extended communities. With the breadth of her career, Dr. Cole could have placed her personal papers anywhere, the Smithsonian, Harvard, the Schomburg, anywhere, right? She has international acclaim. But Dr. Cole was intentional about placing her archives here, an HBCU that has been in continuous operation for 142 years and has fostered generations of activists, organizers, doctors, lawyers, artists, filmmakers, and many others. We are grateful to Dr. Cole for trusting us with just a piece of her archival legacy, to live in community with the stories of other Black women and other Black people that we amplify daily through our memory work. And I like to use that term, memory work, because that connects us. You don't have to be an archivist, you don't have to be a librarian, you don't have to be trained to care about this work that we do. It is important to note that relationships among Black women have primarily built and sustained the archives, and so has the incredible book project manifested into reality through the work and collaboration of these three wonderful sister scholars on this stage. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our wonderful speakers for the evening. Sounds a little silly, but Johnnetta Betsch Cole, author, if you don't know her, Johnnetta Betsch Cole, author and editor of numerous books, is President Emerita of Spelman and Bennett Colleges, Director Emerita of the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of African Art, and former chair and president of the National Council of Negro Women. Celeste Watkins Hayes is the Jordan and Sanford Weil Director of the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy, Jean E. Fairfax Collegiate, Professor of Public Policy, and Professor of Sociology at the University of Michigan. Dr. Watkins Hayes is an internationally recognized scholar and expert on HIV/AIDS, urban poverty, social policy, and racial, class, and gender inequality. Her work illuminates social problems of great interest to scholars, community, and policymakers. She works at the intersection of sociology, African American studies, and public policy. Her work analyzes the impact of the HIV epidemic on women and the growth of the HIV safety net. In 2019, she published Remaking a Life, How Women Living with AIDS and HIV Confront Inequality. Erica Lorraine Williams, and my friend, who I should be able to say your name, is a professor of anthropology at Spelman College. Her research is focused on the cultural and sexual politics of the transnational tourism industry in Salvador, Brazil. In 2013, she published Sex Tourism in Bahia, which won the National Women's Studies Association University of Illinois Press First Book Prize in 2011. And our conversation tonight will be moderated by Dr. Beverly Guy-Sheftall and Julie Cooper of Comparative Women's Studies, founder and director of the Women's Resource and Research Center, and frankly, the best boss I've ever had. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to really get started. I'm going to start by asking a really basic question. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Tell us how this amazing book came into being. Editors, and then Johnnetta.
So,
we're going to do first names up here, okay?
awesome. Well, first let me say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Dr. Gale for hosting us, and thank you for being our presence this evening, Beverly, to lead this conversation. This book really started, this project started, when I really think about it in 1992. Many of us in this room have had the pleasure of sitting in this very space, hearing a message, being in community with each other, and hearing the voice of Johnnetta B. Cole. Johnnetta Betsch Cole. So when I was a first-year student at Spelman, like many in this room, I sat in those pews, and I felt heard, and I felt seen. And I know that for many of us, wherever we go, we take a little bit of these moments at Spelman with us. The voice, the content, the community, the space of being at Spelman College. Fast forward about 5 years ago, and I get a call from Spelman alumna, who I am so pleased to shout out, Alicia Alexandra Harley, who said, "Where's the book of Dr. Cole's speeches?" And I said, "It does not exist." So I called Dr. Cole, who at this time had become one of and remains my most prominent and connected mentor throughout what has now been a career from 1992 to the present in higher education, because I figured out through Dr. Cole way back in 1992 that I wanted to dedicate myself to the life of the mind and the life of higher education and to be on college campuses. So this long-standing career really inspired this question of, we need to create a book of your speeches. So Dr. Cole and Mr. Staten, who is here in the audience, sent me boxes and boxes. And the responsibility from your doorstep to mine of an entire career chronicled in these boxes, note cards of handwritten speeches, lined notebook paper of speeches in Dr. Cole's writing, printed documents with her handwriting annotations in the notes to get every word just right, programs of events and commencements and places that she had been all over the world in these boxes. So we went about the work of figuring out how to create a book. And about a year into the project, I was promoting Remaking a Life back to Spelman in the Women's Center, and I talked about this as my next project. And the beauty of Spelman, Erica Williams followed up with me and said, "That book that you're working on of Dr. Cole's speeches, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know." And I said, "We would love to get you involved." So we embarked on this journey during the pandemic of Zoom calls and going through the speeches, digitizing all of them, doing the work of reading them, and basically documenting a career that spans higher education, the museum world, diversity, equity, and inclusion work, all of these different topics, both national and global in the scope of the conversations in these speeches. And we put together this book. And the last thing I want to say about the origin story of this book is recognizing that this is a story about mentorship. This is also a story about collaboration. And this is a story about opening the door of opportunity to bring people along. So I'm really excited that Dom Adam Santos is here, who you are going to hear a lot about Dom through the evening, was with us in those calls, my graduate student at Northwestern, now my colleague at the University of Michigan, that really kept us in line in terms of getting this work done. Welcome to Spelman, Don. Welcome to Spelman. So that is how we ended up here today.
You want to say
I
something?
would just add a little addition. Back in 2010, it was my first summer, the summer after my first year here at Spelman, and Dr. Cynthia Neal Spence had organized a UNCF Mellon faculty seminar about the archives of Black intellectuals in Atlanta. And I participated in that seminar and was introduced to the archives of Dr. Cole. And I said, I want to do an archival project about Dr. Cole. I started bringing some of her speeches and some of the things I found in the archives into my classrooms, into my anthropology classes. We had a Democratizing Knowledge Summer Institute here in 2017, and I had the opportunity to interview her, and the transcript of that interview is also in this book. And so when I heard Celeste talk about this project, I said, "Oh, I need to be a part of that." So I think it's also kind of, all these women are my role models, and they inspire me, and so I was just honored to contribute and to be a part of it.
Okay, so Dr. Cole, Johnnetta.
Beverly.
In the preface, you explain the concept of speechifying, its African diasporic cultural traditional aspect. So talk to us about the term, the concept speechifying, which is the title of the book. And you are responsible for that title. And of course, it has this broader, amazing context.
My Spelman sisters! You have no idea the joy it brings to me just to say that. And in the spirit of inclusivity that we all must be touched by, I greet my Spelman siblings all. I can't even begin to describe how various rivers in my life are flowing now, rhythmically. Yes, Spelman. Yes, anthropology, and the ability that I hope I brought here to see and to understand difference and similarity, something that Erica and I got in common. But I'm also feeling the flow of what, for lack of better language, I am going to just call the centrality of Africa in the lives of all of the world's people. And I'm sure somewhere along the way, it's got to be in a speech, I have said, there is only one place on earth where all of humanity began. Whether you are looking for a biblical interpretation or you've turned to evolution, it is Africa. So in one of those speeches, probably in several, it says, and the sooner white folk acknowledge that they're Africans, the world's going to be better. So that was a pretty long preface now to respond to my bestie's question about speechifying. The tradition of oral delivery, sometimes we get fancy and call it oratory, really, in my view, comes so powerfully out of the continent. Of course, it would begin at a place without the written language at that point in its prehistory and history. And so the ability to speak convincingly, is really central, I think, as something that goes across that continent. Now, when you think about a tradition of oratory, you often want to, think of that as being very, very thought out and effective and impressive. And it should be. But when you hear the word speechifying, if you look up that definition, what it says is, we got to sit here and listen to all of this pontificating, all of this pompous stuff. What happened? Well, what happened is what we black folk tend to do with language. And I'm going to end this very shortly, Beverly. And that is we take a word and we decide what we can do with it. And to tell you the truth, we get joy in messing with it. And the most obvious example is bad. Yeah. We take bad and make it good. And so what we have done is to take Speechifying, coming from that long oral tradition in Africa, where the griot could stand and literally recite generations after generations after generations by name. We have taken that tradition and that word, and we have made it a good thing. That is Speechifying.
I'm gonna ask just one more question about the arts and the art and sciences of speechifying, which is Celeste's concept. And I want you to talk, Johnnetta, a little bit about the ways in which your Black feminist anthropological vision and your speechifying leadership, I don't even want to say style, your speechifying leadership self operated here for the 10 years you were at Spelman. And you know, most of the folk in the audience, students, didn't experience you. So I want you to talk about speechifying Black feminist anthropological vision and how it is that you imagined yourself as the first African-American woman president of this place.
You know, it was a daunting responsibility. I mean, Beverly, you walked with me so closely in those early days. It was really daunting. I mean, since 1881, the women of this institution did not see themselves reflected in their president. And so I thought I had a choice. My choice was to be as high sedity and as Harvard-like as possible, or to reach deeply into who I am and to speak out of that, which meant that it had to be speechifying, and it meant it had to be constantly, forever cast as Black feminism. And so, you know, once it started, it just rolled. It just rolled. And I must say, and I turn to you, Sister President, with gratitude for the way that you have received us, the way that you and this entire Spelman community has made the launching of this book so special. But I have to tell you, Sister President, as I saw you at that podium, you know, I gotta tell you, I got kind of emotional thinking about simply what it means to do one's best, to be an authentic leader of a special place. For those, in W.B. Du Bois's words, for those who are of the darker hue. And so when we add to that, not only those who are of the darker hue, but those who in the full diversity of gender situate themselves somewhere as belonging here. So I know I made the right choice. I would have gotten an F- in a leadership style, in a pretentiousness that is not me. And I believe it is not really who most of us are, who identify in some way with Spelman College.
If I can just say one little thing, a lot of people don't know that Johnnetta Cole, and I don't know how she did it, taught too. And I saw you speechify in class. When Johnnetta would walk into that classroom, it was amazing. And Celeste, you were the beneficiary of that. So in addition to speechifying here at the podium, she speechified in class. You want to just say a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, I want to say, and I know if I begin this, I'll never stop, but I am so moved to say this. Can you imagine that I am sitting in Sisters Chapel, and with us are two of my students who I taught at Spelman College, one of whom is the new dean of the School of Divinity at Harvard. Marla, where are you? Marla! Sitting there in another class, interested in anthropology, is Rashay Daniel. Now Rashay Daniel Barnes, who is a professor at the University in Gainesville, the University of Florida, in anthropology and women's studies. And so, Beverly, thank you. But you know, we taught together too. I wasn't just teaching anthropology. We were teaching women's studies. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, you got asked a lot of questions in this book, and one of the ones that I really liked was the question about what you think constitutes the best speech in the world. And you said the best speeches in the world are those that instruct and inspire. So, tell the audience what you want these speeches to do in the category of instruction and inspiration.
I think my sister colleagues would agree. That is what a good speech should do. And because of that, I never end a speech without some version of, and what is to be done. And so I'm going to take inspire, just because I'm getting older and I'm getting tired and this world is a mess. And say that not only do I think a good speech must inspire, it must motivate some form of action. Whether it is that you're talking about HIV/AIDS, then what about that? And some implication of what is your responsibility as a citizen, if nothing else. If you're in Brazil and there are things going on there so far away from your own country, but that you know just are not right, what's your responsibility? And so every one of those speeches, ooh, I sure hope I'm right, says in some way, what are you going to do about this? But in an effort not to get too preachy, what I have found is if I can tell a story and let that story really drive the call for action. And so you're going to have to bear with me in this book because there ain't but so many stories that do this well. But let me just say this. On many an occasion, I've been, and I shared this when 1, 2, 3 and Dr. D. Dom and I were working. On many an occasion, I have been somewhere, and it's a Spelman sister, or it's a Morehouse bro, or it's a sister or a brother or a sibling from within the center, or it may be somebody from a PWI. And they'll say, oh, Dr. Cole, you gave a talk at my graduation. I can't resist. Can you remember what the speech was about? No, but I can tell you the story. Storytelling, which also comes out of the African tradition, brought into the New World, despite this notion that somehow we stood on the shores of the continent and dug out our culture and left it, because we were coming into the New World to be enslaved. We brought that with us. So, oh, Beverly, you know, you got me started. Come on. Yeah, I just think that at this point in time, each of us has got to find a way to push back against attacks on American democracy. And there is a definitive connection between my making that statement and what I charge every Spelman sibling to do. And that is, don't let anybody take your story and devalue it. Say it cannot be told. Don't let anybody take our stories and so distort them that they have no relationship to who we are as a people. Without an understanding of our history, her story, their story as a people, we will simply cease to exist.
I'm noticing that I'm running out of time.
Really?
Yes, because we've got to get these books signed. But I want you to say to Celeste and Erica whatever it is you want to say at this moment. And then I want them to say to you whatever they want to say to you. And pretend that there's no audience.
I'm feeling such gratitude. That each of you, on an amazing and brilliant trajectory with your careers, carved out so much time to do this book with me. And it is, I think, a sterling example of what genuine mentorship is all about. There is this notion out there that the mentor, usually old, doesn't know how to use the right things with the computer. It's just pouring out all of this wisdom into these young ones. Nobody ever talks about what the mentor would love to receive. Mentoring should be a reciprocal relationship. And each of you has given so generously to me as we worked on this book. I could not be more proud of where each of you is. And I could not cherish you more. Thank you.
So Johnnetta is a tough act to follow. No one wants to speak after her. I would also just add that we were doing this through a pandemic, over Zoom, through moves and new jobs and health scares and hospitalizations and all kinds of things. And there was such a Black feminist ethic of care and collaboration. We would send, whoever was going through something would get a care package in the mail. And that's the kind of thing that you don't know when you start on an intellectual project with a group of people that it's gonna become that. So I'm just so grateful to both of these amazing women. Yeah. I would also just like to say, because Celeste told me I should say this, I've been at Spelman for 14 years, and this is my first time sitting on this stage. And I was recently promoted to full professor, so I feel like, so this is an important moment for me. Also as an anthropologist, as someone who's involved with the Association of Black Anthropologists, which we have Marla and Rashay and Bianca Williams in the audience as well, ABA members. Johnnetta was a former president of the Association of Black Anthropologists, was instrumental in even getting it started. So I've always looked up to her as a model of a Black feminist anthropologist. I've admired the way she's moved through her career taking new challenges. In the interview, the interview I did with her, she tells a story about when she was asked to be the director of the Museum of African Art. At first, she said, I don't have this experience. I don't have an art history degree, but she accepted the challenge. She's been able to maneuver and just do so many different things and inspire so many people throughout her career. So I'm grateful to be able to see that up close. And even there's a timeline in this book of her career and her accomplishments, and that was a lot of work, even just putting together that timeline, because she's done so much. Over 70 honorary degrees, right? All the different positions. Co-creating Black studies in Washington State University. So many things that she's done that it was just an honor and a blessing to be able to put this together, to collaborate on this project. And Celeste, I would just say, you're a boss. You're doing amazing things. And it's been wonderful to also see how you juggle this project and your different positions, becoming a dean and everything, and how you always carve out time to give back to Spelman. So thank you both.
So I am full of so many thoughts right now. And one of the things that I think about that, Erica, you talked about so beautifully is the expanse of the career represented in this book. From early days as a scholar of anthropology and women's studies and gender studies and Black studies to the Spelman inaugural address is in the book, to Dr. Cole's speech commemorating Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, the first Black woman to be asked to speak in Washington, D.C. at that commemorative event, to conversations about museum life. And through that span of career, the way that you always see me. And I write in the book at the end that Spelman can be actually a very intimidating place. You come into this environment and so many people next to you, in front of you, behind you have done such amazing things. But ultimately when we arrive, we are all 17-year-old children trying to find our way in the world. And I too experienced that sense of centering in a place and yet placelessness that you experience often when you come to Spelman and you try to find your way. And my sister Shay, who is here in the audience, class of 91, said to me, there's this job called student trustee, and you should run for it. Happens it's an election, you keep the job for 3 years. I think you'd really enjoy that. So I ran for the position and was placed on the board of trustees. Now imagine being 19 years old on the board of trustees of the #1 historically Black college in the country. And I tell this story in a lot of different places. When we were talking about some of the most complicated issues that the college was facing, budgets, tuition, human resources, I was never asked once to leave the room. Imagine the trust that that puts in someone at that early stage in their career, to have the confidence in you to know that you can handle the information, that you can be a good steward of it, and that you can understand the assignment. That tone was set by you. And not only did I learn a lot substantively, but it taught me so much about leadership to watch you in action, to watch you as you fundraise, to watch you as you wrote speeches, to watch you in the classroom, to watch you as a student. Dr. Cole took a class at Spelman too, where we were all in a class together, intergenerational class in a women's studies, in the Women's Center. To watch that, and then for you to continue to support me, to guide me, to love on me during those calls when I would say, I don't think I can do this, to, I want to do this, do you think I should, to, I did it, and I want to celebrate you and thank you. Over and over and over and over again throughout my career. And I want to say that what's so beautiful about you, Dr. Cole, is that Erica and I are not unusual. There's so many people in this audience who could be sitting right here because so many people in this audience have that story and that interaction with Dr. Cole. Whether it was just a quick conversation across campus, whether it was hearing a speech in Sisters Chapel, whether it was reading your work, so many of us in this room have a story. So I just feel so blessed that of all of us that have this story, you also find the time to continue to pour into me. And this was an absolute joy to do, a labor of love, and one of the most impactful experiences of my career, because I love you so, so much. And I know that I speak on behalf of so many in this room who love you so, so much. So my message is simple. Thank you, and I love you, and thank you for taking that chance on me when I was a 19-year-old kid in the Board of Trustees meeting.
I had good judgment. You know, in this setting, for us to be able to simply say how much we are grateful to each other, depend on each other, learn from each other, and love each other. That's Black feminism. Director of the Women's Center.
So now that we're all crying.
Before we call Sister Riley Tayari Jones up here, I know you probably think you said a whole lot, and you have, but I want you to really have the final word to the audience. Anything you want to say.
The final word, I don't know. But some words I do know. And one of those sets of words is that each of us, I truly believe, has the responsibility to discover our authentic self. And that may sound like, gibberish. But as I've been on the campus this time, and certainly when I was here, Sister President, for your inauguration, it just struck me how much more difficult that is becoming in this world in which we live. And yet that really is our fundamental task. Because without that discovery, then I think we are not prepared to do what we've got to do. And I don't care if you want to use Sojourner Truth's words about getting this world right side up again, or if you want to use out of your own social justice activism a good list of what is to be done, but coming to own and celebrate one's authentic self has got to be primary before you begin to help to change anything around you. And so much of it needs changing. And I will continue to believe that this is a special place for that process to happen. And I reach out to my colleagues of the faculty to say to you what an awesome and joyous responsibility you have to be on that journey with Spelman students. And if we ever needed you to be on that journey in the true partnership of teaching and learning, of instructing and inspiring, it is now. And I will never lift up and acknowledge my colleagues on the faculty without saying how intensely I know what those who are referred to as staff mean. We need to fix that word. There's some warmth in colleague. There's some coldness in staff. But it is you who, in all of those ways, are walking the journeys with Spelman students outside of the classroom. So I'm going to tell you, the privilege of being a part of this place is really indescribable. And the joy that I continue to have even when I am not on this campus. I know my husband, J.D., could testify how central Spelman is in our ongoing lives. You cannot carve this special place out of me. So Beverly, I do have one final word. It is about friendship. I'm going to tell you, if you don't have one, you better go find her. I'm talking about still black feminism. Because I know that in the roughest moments of my life, some of which were right after I left Spelman, to be able to pick up that phone and talk to a sister friend. There is nothing as solid, as sweet, as essential as friendship. And I treasure the one I have with you so deeply. Thank you.
Let's give these women a round of applause.
I'm Tiari Jones. And I'm Sabrina McBride. And we are members of the class of 1991. And like all of you, we are bold dreamers. Dream the Boldest Dreams began like many great ideas dreamed up by women. It started in our kitchen. I from my home in Seattle, and I was at my kitchen table in Atlanta. But as always, our hearts were right here at Spelman College. This was in 2020 when the pandemic and the racial unrest all over the country made us really ask ourselves, what is important? Who is important? And what can we do to make the world better? We kept thinking of Spelman College. When we walked into this campus, it was the year 1987. We were young girls, just teenagers. We didn't know we had a date with history. Dr. Johnnetta Betsch was the first Black woman president of Spelman College. At this time, we didn't know it, but it was a hard-won battle. No one told us about the class of 1976 who locked the trustees in the boardroom demanding a Black woman president. All we knew was that we had the original bold dreamer as our president. It took 106 years, but yes, a Black woman was at the helm of this Black woman's college. And when she addressed us, my Spelman sisters, we knew we were home. So, how to honor the president who changed our lives, who put Spelman at the forefront of not only Black women's education, but higher education writ large? She didn't want an award, a plaque, or an engraved bench. We knew that she would want us to continue her legacy, providing education for Black women. Every mind is worthy of cultivation, but we all know it costs money to attend Spelman. And for many sisters, that is the one thing they don't have. At first, we set our goal for $100,000. But our sisters in the class of 1991 were not impressed. It was Kim Hines who said, we need to raise $1 million. And as we all know, Spelman women always rise to the challenge. Let us flash forward almost 3 years. Dream the Boldest Dreams boasts an endowment of $1,031,849.15. Represents gifts from 54 classes. The oldest dreamer is June McDonald Aldrich, class of 1953. And the youngest is our dear Abby Fields, class of 2026. So let us take a moment to celebrate this achievement. Would all members, if you are not already, of the Boldest Dreams Scholarship donations, can you please stand? This is what a $1 million fundraising effort looks like. When Sabrina says it has to be us, you heard the call. We are alumni, yes, but we also represent everyone who has been touched by Dr. Cole, by her vision and all of her good works. Everyone that was standing but sit down but need to stand up again, all of you all dared to dream a bold dream. And I know you don't want to get back on your feet, but we're going to ask you to. All bold dreamers, please stand. Because this is the moment to which we have all been working. This is our why. Dream the Boldest Dreams is a monument to Dr. Cole, but more importantly, it is a scholarship, a gift of education to young women who is the first in their family to receive a college degree. In other words, this is a game changer. It's a life changer. So please stay on your feet and let us applaud Emerita Wells, Spelman College class of 26. Emerita is the Dream the Boldest Dreams Johnnetta Betsch Cole, class of 91 scholar. Dr. Cole, would you do us the honor of presenting her with this commemorative certificate?
Dearest Spelman, what an honor and a joy it is for me, on behalf of every single bold dreamer, to present to you the very first scholarship. May you accept it, as I know you do, with deep gratitude. And may you now, on this journey of soaring to the height of your possibilities, soar with greater ease, because your Spelman community and beyond has made it possible. Blessings.
And Tayari Jones. Yes, ma'am. Now that we have finally reached this milestone, we can finally present Dr. Cole with a $1 million charter. Would you do the honors? Sabrina wants me to do the honors of presenting Dr. Cole with this tangible memento, but I would never present this without Sabrina by my side, because listen, y'all know Sabrina drove cross country. So Dr. Cole, on behalf of all the bold dreamers, me and Sabrina, put your hand on here, Sabrina. Put my hand on here. We present you with this memento of this moment. And as we end this program here in Sisters Chapel, the most sacred place on our campus, the spiritual heart of Spelman College. Dr. Joyce isn't here, but we're going to sing the hymn without her. So let us rise up and join hands.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Spelman family. My name is Linda Hart-Patton. I serve as Director of Alumni Operations in the Office of Alumni Engagement, and I hail from the great 88. And tonight we are all family. And I would like to ask that we all move in, let's hold hands, and let's lean on our Glee Club sisters to lead us in the Spelman hymn. May I have the class of 91? Excuse me, everyone. May I have the class of 91 please come to the front for a photo? Class of 91. Yes. Class of 91, right here to the floor. Class of 91. Class of 91, if we can have you come up on the stage for the photo. Class of 91. Class of 91 on the stage for a photo. Excuse me, for all of our photographers here on the front, if we can please have a seat so our wonderful photographer, Mr. Curtis, can get his photo. Thank you. Everyone in the front, please have a seat. Photo. We're about to take our photo. So if I could have all the photographers on the front row to please be seated, hands down, so that we can get this wonderful image here tonight.